I think I may be cursed. I have 5 different whips going on right now. And of the 4 of them, I have had to restart each project. I feel like there's something going on where I keep making mistakes and having to completely start over. Hello and welcome to Knit Cheek. My name is Natalie and I am the cheek behind Knit Cheek, and today we are doing a knitting update. So I'm gonna update you on what I'm knitting, what I finished knitting, and what I plan to be knitting. So a lot of knitting. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Natalie and I talk about knitting on the internet. I try to post a knitting update or podcast about once a month, but it's been 2 months since I last posted my Q1 knitting update. And so now I have 2 months of knitting to show you. I have all new whips. Everything that I'm working on is new to the channel. I have 4 finished items and a lot of ideas for summer. We're gonna go over all of that today. I do have some things I need to talk about before I start, and I'm going to try to make this a shorter video because I am recovering from a really bad cold. I don't know if I've ever had a cold last this long. This is day 11. I'm pretty much like good, but I am worried that if I talk for like more than 40 minutes, I'm gonna get froggy. So I may have to take a break and make myself a cup of tea or something. I have a lot of projects that have not been mentioned on the channel, so I feel like I'm going to be talking for quite a bit. I am hosting a knit along with Beans and Skeins. It is called a sweater for summer, and the goal is to knit a sweater for summer. Now, this means a lot of different things to different people. I'm currently knitting 3 different things that would count. I am knitting a tee, a long sleeved lacy top, and an actual wool cardigan that I want to knit for summer. So if you want to knit a colorwork Aran weight sweater, that's good, whatever you want to do. If you want to knit the lightest, cottoniest, breeziest tee, that's also cool. We do have the rest of June, and there will be 2 prizes in June, so it's not too late to join. You can join on Instagram or Ravelry. Today I'm going to be announcing a winner from Ravelry. We picked a winner in April from Instagram, and then May I am picking from Ravelry, and then we decided June we would do both. So we'll pick one from Instagram and one for Ravelry. I will say your chances are higher on Ravelry because there's just not as many people posting on there. If you would like a chance to win a prize, go ahead and follow the Ravelry forum link. Post about what you're knitting for a sweater for summer. So the winner for the sweater for summer giveaway for the month of May is Tanta Lala on Ravelry. And I'm gonna go ahead and message her on Ravelry because it's a lot easier than YouTube. But I thought I would announce it here as well. I did use like some online like random generator, and I just manually inserted everyone's name who participated in the forum. We were under like 18 people, so it wasn't a big deal. Next up, for my video that I posted 1 month ago, Organize Your Stitch Markers, testing 6 pillboxes for knitting notion storage and solution giveaway, I did want to announce the winner for that as well. The winner for the pillbox video is Clara Minnick 6834. So Clara, if you would please email me. My email is knitcheek@gmail.com, and I will get you your pillbox of your choice. If you haven't watched that video, it's a great video where I test out 6 different pillboxes and like give my pros and cons of which ones I like the best as notion organizers. If you like knitting and organization, you'll like that video. In the description, I will leave info on the sweater for summer cal, as well as a summer yarn and pattern video playlist if you would like to keep watching after this. I'm also going to link my last video, which was the LA yarn crawl video, because there's no way I can talk about everything and then on top of this talk about the yarn that I picked up from the LA yarn crawl. There is like 2 tea quantities in here and then some random bits, but I can't fit this all in this video. I will link that below if you're interested in what I picked up from there, because this is a whole bag of acquisitions that I'm not talking about in this video because I have too much to talk about. So let's talk about the objects that I finished in the last 2 months. So my first finished object, I finished April 9th, which is the March Socks by Summer Lee Knits. These, hold on, there's a hair. These are her March Colorwork Cuff Club socks, and I have been participating in her Colorwork Cuff Club on and off depending on if I like the design for the month. These are probably my favorite ones that I've ever knit. They're just so cute. I love the colors. They give me like this 70s like bug vibe, like the car. I don't know why, but it just does. I love these. I have not worn these because I wanted them to look nice and fresh when I showed them here on YouTube. So these are my March socks. I started these March 23rd and I finished them on April 9th. It took me 17 days to knit this. I did not swatch and I knit a size medium. The yarn that I used for this is Sea Change. This is a sock base that is non-superwash and plastic free. So she uses silk to kind of build up the strength of the sock. I have knit one other pair of socks, the Oxbow socks, with this exact yarn. So I had enough yarn from the 100 gram skein to knit 2 pairs of shorties. But if you're wondering what's going on with the toe here, this was actually a decision I made because I ran out of that fingering weight Sea Change sock yarn. And in the beginning, I did not want to do this. I did not want to do a contrasting toe. I thought it would ruin the sock. But now it's like my favorite part of the sock is this design feature. So I'm like really, really into these toes. I think the white little fleas or dots or basically just color work of changing every other stitch the color added a lot to that toe. I'm super excited to wear these. The silk content, since I have experience of knitting another pair of these socks and wearing them, they are a tad silky. Like when you wear them, they feel a little bit silky. So they're like, not like they are slippery, like super slippery. Yes, they're a little slippery, but they're not like falling off my foot. But there is definitely a silk component in there and you feel it. I am very interested in trying more non-superwash sock bases. They are kind of hard to come by. I feel like because most people are like, why would you care if it's superwash versus non-superwash if you're putting nylon in it? But to me, I feel like it's a totally different process of like, I love the idea of a non-superwash sock and then you put nylon, or I've seen like recycled nylon or recycled polyester or some type of synthetic that's like recycled. I would absolutely love that. I do think Tuca wool makes one, but I have not had the pleasure to try that. Okay, let's wrap it up because I cannot talk this long about socks. I can already tell my voice is getting a little froggy and I've only been through one project. The thing is, when I'm talking about knitting, I get so excited and I can't help but like project and get loud. And like when Joey's here, he's like, why are you screaming? It's like, because I'm so excited to talk about knitting. Okay, I just drank some water. Hopefully that helps. Let's move on to my next project, and that is the Stornoway sweater. And I have worn the crap out of this. So no, I did not keep this nice for y'all for the first time I showed on YouTube. My bad, but honestly, it has been so cozy. I absolutely love wearing this sweater. It is very cropped, and when I was knitting it, I didn't know whether I wanted to crop it or not. It's worn, and I was wearing it a lot in the mountains, so there's like bits of foliage in there. So much has happened since I filmed, and I feel like I haven't talked about it. I did in my spring reset video. I talked a little bit about, the struggles that we've been going through recently. To sum up, the plumbing in our house was original, and this house is like 1913, 1920, somewhere in between that range. We always knew that it would need to be replaced, but that never happens at the best point of your life. It came to a point where there was a leak and another leak, and Joey was like trying to find the leak and found that the main was leaking. Anyways, I'm talking about something I don't fully understand, but he does. We had to completely redo the plumbing in our house, which was like a 2 to 3 week job because he did it all himself with help from family and friends. But it was really intense. He had to dig up like the whole front yard. He had to crawl underneath the house. It was a disaster, basically. And we're really, really fortunate that we have a family cabin. It's super small, like 400 square foot cabin, only 30 minutes from here. So we were able to move into that for 2 to 3 weeks. I don't actually know like the timeline. I want to say it was 2 solid weeks, maybe a little bit more. It was a good experience. It was fine. It was nice to get up there because it's cooler up there. It's like 10 to 20 degrees cooler up in the mountains. And so I actually wore this quite a bit because we were up in the mountains in May and it was just cold. All that ramble to tell you that I got a lot of wear out of this sweater. I am so sorry. I am supposed to be staying on task here. Let me tell you a little bit about this sweater. So this is the Stornoway sweater by Cheryl, Mokhtari. I started this January 31st, 2025, and I finished it April 7th, and it took me 66 days to knit this. I did swatch, and I went down a needle size. She suggested a US 8. I used it a US 7. The yarn that I used to knit this sweater is Blue Sky Fibers wool stock, and I want to say the colors were like driftwood and dark chocolate. I had a really hard time picking yarn for this, but I'm really happy with the yarn that I picked. There is some pilling happening, but it's like, it looks really manageable. Like it would be really easy to depill. In the areas like underneath the arms, you can kind of see it here. I have not depilled this yet, so I feel like it would be really easy to depill. The yarn is really soft and really lightweight. Even though it's a worsted weight yarn, it's really light and airy. So yeah, I knit this as part of a knit along with the Young Folk Knits and those twins who knit. They held a knit along called the Stornoway Squad. And so that was really fun, and I felt like it kept me really motivated to knit this sweater. All in all, love this sweater, wear it all the time. Probably not gonna get to wear it anymore because the weather has turned here in Southern California. Unfortunately, there is my Stornoway sweater. All of my finished objects are a little wrinkly actually because they were in this bag from last week when I was going to film this video but got sick. So let me tell you about my next project. My next two projects were part of a challenge that I wanted to like challenge myself, that before the seasons officially turned, I wanted to get all of the projects off my needles that were kind of lingering. I had two that I had cast on in 2024 that were just languishing. I didn't want to work on them, and I was like, you know what? I want to get these done before I cast on all the things I want to cast on for summer, because I had castanitis. There was so many things I wanted to cast on, and I'm so glad I did that because it really like lifted this like weight off my shoulders of like knowing that now I feel like I could just frivolously cast on all the things for summer, and I can have 5+ projects and it doesn't feel as overwhelming as it would have if I still had these old whips from last year. My first one that I finished as part of that video, which was called like my spring knitting reset. And it really felt like a spring knitting reset. And the first one was the Barber Shawl by Georgia Fibers. And I cast this on October 26th, 2024. And I finished it May 5th, 2025. I don't know how many days that is, but it's a lot. I didn't swatch for this. I had 3 skeins of this Almaty Santi tweed in the color Toast. I had 411 yards and 150 grams, and I was trying to use up all the yarn. So I talked a lot about this in that vlog, so I won't go too into detail, but I knit this small shawl. I think I will wear this either like as a hood, or also try not to mess up my hair, or as a bandana, because it is kind of an awkward size as like a shawl like this. But I do really love this yarn. I did think about buying more of this yarn to make a bigger shawl, but I just didn't want to. I wanted to spend all my money on summer yarn. This is a really luxurious feeling yarn. It's got like all sorts of things in it, like silk and yak. It's a really nice luxurious yarn. It was like $15 per 50 grams, so this is like $45 project. And I thought when I bought the yarn that it was 100 gram skeins, and that was like my fault. I just didn't read it. So I thought that I had a whole lot more yardage than I did. So this is the Barber Shawl, and that's all I'm going to say about it. If you want to, I don't know, watch the vlog, then I will link that below as well. So my last finished object is my Camisole number 4, and I am wearing that today. And this is knit up in Knitting for Olive Pure Silk. And I did do a modification on the straps to create thicker straps because I don't like dealing with I-cord straps. I just feel like they're kind of fiddly and I don't want to deal with them. So I did not knit those. I modified them. I cast this on August 19th, 2024, and I finished it May 10th, 2025. So it took me 264 days to knit this. I did swatch and I did meet gauge. The finished bust is 38 inches. So I have 3.5 inches of positive ease. The yarn is Knitting for Olive Pure Silk. I use a total of 80 grams. So 2 balls, but I did have 20 extra grams at the end of this, or 437 yards is what I used. I did start this in 2024 and then hibernated it because it had gotten cold and I just didn't want to work on a summer tank top. I do have some notes in my Ravelry project page about how I did the modification for the straps. It's not like foolproof. If you look at the back where I tried to Kitchener stitch the straps in the back, like you can kind of tell, but I don't feel like a non-knitter would ever be able to tell what was going on back there. But I do have some detailed notes on how I did that in my Ravelry project page. I absolutely adore this tank top. It is probably my favorite tank top that I've ever knit, and I've knit a couple of them. So that's saying something. So let's talk about my whips, because I think I may be cursed. I have 5 different whips going on right now. And of the 4 of them, I have had to restart each project. I feel like there's something going on where I keep making mistakes and having to completely start over. So I am frogging and unraveling every one of these projects and having to restart them. I don't know what I did, but I feel like I'm cursed. I really do. So let me talk about my first whip, and that is my sweater for summer. And my original plan was to knit the Acorn Pullover by Sari Nordlund. And here it is. And this is about how far I got. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with this pattern, and I actually do like this pattern. When I was knitting it, I was falling more and more in love with this yarn. This is Plain Air by Pearl Soho in the color Blue Chambray, I believe. I don't think that I will get as much wear out of this pullover as I would like a comfy cardigan, just because this is going to be hard to style. It's 70% wool, 30% cotton, so it is warmer, and it is a pullover. And although it's holey and lacy, I may be able to get away with it on the shoulder seasons of summer or like on a breezy night or something, but it's going to be harder than if I had a cardigan that I can like take off when it gets too warm. And it's so soft. I've said this before, it feels like my favorite cotton hoodie, like that type of texture. I just felt like this was not the right project for this. And so I went with my gut and I started looking for something in the same weight, and I settled on the Ava cardigan. It's crazy to me that I've never shown this because this is so big. Here is my Ava cardigan. So I am knitting an oversized cardigan, and I'm not going to crop this. I feel like I'm going to make a really big comfy cardigan. I also feel like I have a lot of yardage of this. I bought 7 skeins of this, I think I bought extra of this because I knit the book club cardigan by Sari Nordlund and I ran out of yarn. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy extra yarn for this one, but I think I may have overshot because I have 7 balls of this and this is my 3rd. I still have 3 more balls of yarn plus this. So I feel like I have plenty of yarn, which is a great feeling, but I may end up having extra. This is a project that, yes, not counting the Ava pullover that I started knitting, but when I started knitting this, I actually did have to rip this out and start over. Or not start over, but I ripped out like a huge amount of this. And that is just because I've never done this type of construction before with this, like, I think this is maybe like a version of a saddle shoulder. And you just have to be really careful in how you pick this up because it'll affect how it sits. And I just wasn't happy with that. So I started and frogged this project because I thought something was wrong and then it wasn't wrong. So I don't know what happened, but I am glad that I redid it because this section where you have to pick up stitches, you have to be really careful because it will affect how that shoulder sits. So I am really glad that I ripped this out. I haven't been upset about having to like frog a project in a while, but I think just because I felt like I frogged it for no reason. It's been a while since this happened, so I don't actually remember exactly like why I was so upset. You'll see the theme of having to restart a lot of projects, and I figured that one of the things that helps is like if I just sit down and knit to the point of where it had frogged, or try to if I have the time. And then at the end of it, I don't feel like as like defeated that I had to rip back if I can make up the progress that I lost. I have done this several times this month. Overall, I am so happy that I chose to switch projects on this. And I absolutely love this cardigan. I feel like I'm going to get so much wear out of this. My stitches are a little bit uneven from, if you go from my like knit to purl size, I feel like because there's cotton content in there, like it's not as forgiving, but it's not something that bothers me. I'm really hoping that it'll block out and look really nice and even. Absolutely love this color. Absolutely love this yarn. I have to look at the color range, but I definitely could see myself knitting more with this yarn. I'll also be curious to see like how it holds up because it's so soft. It's like 70% targy, I want to say, and then 30% organic cotton. So absolutely love everything about this, and I'm so excited to finish it. And this is my sweater for summer. So that was my first summer cast on. Let's talk about, I say summer because it is like a woolly cardigan, but I really did picture this being something that I don't put away seasonally. A lot of my woolly sweaters I will put in a plastic storage bin and put underneath my bed during the summer. And I will not be doing that with this cardigan, I hope. I hope this will be something that I just like kind of always have around, or when I need a cozy hoodie. I cast on the Ava cardigan on April 26th. My next work in progress is the Rib Lace Raglan by James & Watts, and I started this May 2nd. I did swatch, but swatched incorrectly. We'll get to that. And I am knitting a size medium, and I am using Pearl Soho Santalina. I am so happy that I am knitting this finally because I feel like I have been talking about making one of these for too long. This is my Rib Lace Raglan by James & Watts, and it's glorious. I love the color. I have been very into blue lately, like so into blue. And you will know that if you watch my LA yarn crawl video and see all the blue yarn that I bought as well. Like it's a problem. I feel like I discovered the color blue this year, and now I feel like next year I'm gonna look at all my makes and be like, this is too much blue. But I can't stop. I'm only attracted to blue right now. So this is my blue Rib Lace Raglan. And let me tell you my story of woe. So I started this, and I am doing his second version. He has two versions of this pattern. His original version did not have neck shaping, and the second version does. And I was like, yeah, I definitely want to do the neck shaping. You can see here the back is higher than the front. So you do have to do part of this lace pattern flat. And I thought that I knew how to yarn over purl side. And turns out that I do not know how to do that. And what I was doing was not yarning over. And so it was just too tight. So I did gauge swatch for this, but it actually was totally inaccurate. I gauge swatched flat because, as I said, I absolutely loathe swatching in the round. And I know this will cause problems in the future, but I just can't do it. So here is my little baby cast on of where I was yarn overing incorrectly on the purl side. So it's just a small amount of knitting, but this happened not too long after I had frogged the Ava cardigan, and I was like, no, not today. I am not going to lose sleep over another frog project. So I sat down after discovering that I had done this incorrectly, and I discovered it when I joined in the round and my lace started opening up, and I was like, why is that so much bigger? And that was like, oh, because I was not yarn overing correctly on the purl side. So I sat down and I did not go to sleep until I got to the point in the new project to where I was before. I don't know if that's healthy, but I did not want to lose sleep over this. So that's what I did. And now I am to the point of where I'm knitting in the round. I've separated for sleeves. This is easy knitting. My Ava cardigan's at an easy knitting point too. So this is it's been really great having an array of projects to work on. I have 5 projects, and I'm really enjoying having 5 different projects to choose from when I want to knit. I am worried that this is going to end up a little bit small. Like, it doesn't seem as oversized as I wanted it. So I'm hoping this is going to open up a lot and grow when I block it. I am going to crop it. And I did want to add sleeves, like long sleeves, but I only have yay amount of yarn left. I just got interrupted for the second time. So hopefully I can edit this seamlessly, but if not, I'm sorry. So I was just talking about my Rib Lace Raglan and how I want to add sleeves to this, but this is about how much yarn I have left. And I didn't want to buy a third skein of yarn, but I should have. And I just don't know how easy it would be to order another one in the same color lot. And also, Pearl Soho, you have to hit a threshold for free shipping, and one skein is not going to get me enough. So I don't know. But I'm going to finish the skein and then see what my options are from there. Was there anything else I wanted to say about this project? So I swatched, but I swatched incorrectly because even though I was knitting flat, those yarn over on the purl sides were incorrect. So my third project is the Ripple Crop Top by Jessie Maed, and I started this on April 30th. I did swatch for this, but I had a really hard time reading the swatch because I didn't understand how to read ribbing in a swatch. She says to swatch and measure laid flat, but without like stretching it. So I swatched, but I was like, I don't know if this is the right size. I cast on a size medium and knit an inch or two and then was like, this is too big. So I ripped it out and I'm now knitting a size small, right? Yeah. The medium was too big. It was too wide. I am cropping. It's a cropped oversized shirt, but it was too, well, I can show you right now. So this was my original one. This is the size medium, and this is how big she is. And my bust circumference is like 34 and a half, 35 depending on what cycle we're in. And this is too big. This is too big for my frame. So I cast on again, you know, because I'm cursed and I have to restart everything. I cast on the size small. I have yay amount of knitting. This one didn't bother me as much having to restart. I had always assumed, because hearing people on YouTube talking about bottom-up patterns and having to cast on a large amount of stitches, that this would be kind of a chore. But I honestly really, really enjoyed it because it's like you get to cast on a project and be at the easy part where you're just knitting. And when I cast this on, I was still going through the shaping of the neck and the splitting of the sleeves for the Ava cardigan and the rib lace raglan. So it's kind of nice to have a balance of like being at the point where you're just knitting in pattern for this project. I have yet to have to deal with like the actual fit of it, which I know is going to be just more difficult with a bottom-up pattern than a top-down pattern would be because you can't try it on as easily. But I feel like this is definitely a better size. And this is Pearl Soho Sweetgrass. This project is perfect. I really like this yarn and this project combination. So, I mean, there's not much to say about this. I probably have 3.5 inches here of ribbing, and it's just a really great project to have when I just want to like mindlessly knit and purl. So this is my project number 3. That's the rib lace raglan. My next project, my whip number 4, is the Harlow Flip by Andrea Mowry, and this was part of a challenge to knit a project over a long weekend. She does this twice a year, one in the spring for a hat and one in the fall for a sock. And I participated last year and I tried to knit the Oxbow socks in a weekend and failed. And this spring I tried to knit a hat in a weekend and failed. But I will say, I think the hat actually is easier than finishing a pair of socks in a weekend, even though I knit socks pretty quickly. But I just feel like the hat was just easier. But if you haven't guessed it already, I knit this beanie all the way into the decreases of the crown and realized I had cast on too many stitches. And with brioche decreasing, I feel like it just would have been really awkward to hide that. I wouldn't have been able to hide it. I would have had a lopsided crown. And that was just something I wasn't okay with. So I ripped the entire 10 inches of brioche knitting and started over. This isn't the worst thing in the world. Obviously, I didn't finish, and I knew I wasn't going to finish when I realized that I had made that mistake. I actually cast on a size 4 because when I looked at my head measurements to Andrea Mowry's, I was like, okay, well, my head is like 5 centimeters bigger than her head. So I went up a size, and I knew almost a little bit after the fold, the brim of the hat, that it was too big. It was too big, but I was like trying to knit for the challenge and I was like, whatever, I'll throw it in the dryer for 10 seconds. But I like always had this feeling in my gut like it was too big. So when I realized I had cast on 4 too many stitches, I was like, all right, I'm ripping this thing out. It wasn't a big deal. I wasn't upset about it, but it was 10 inches of brioche knitting. And if you've knit brioche before, every row you knit twice. So it was like a lot of knitting. It's for like 20 inches of regular one by. This is my first ever brioche pattern, and I'm here to tell you that brioche is nowhere near as hard as I thought it was going to be. It is no big deal. Yes, you have to learn it, and there are like getting it started is a thing, but the actual knitting it is such a breeze, and I absolutely love it. I am okay that I had to rip this out because it's just more practice to get more comfortable with brioche, and I have already thought about other things that I want to knit brioche after this project so I can keep practicing and make sure I don't lose that skill. But this is my Harlow hat flipped here. And it is fully reversible. The point of this hat is it's fully reversible and the brim would match, because if you knit brioche straight, flat, and then try to fold it, the back side is not the same as the front side. So that's her new pattern, is called the Harlow Flip, so that when you flip your brim, it matches. And that's actually something that always held me back from knitting the Harlow hat, was that I like my hats to have a brim, and I didn't like that it didn't match. I watched 3 tutorials to learn how to do brioche. The first one was Nimble Needle's Ultimate Guide to Brioche. I watched that fully through and I made a couple of swatches. I should have grabbed the swatches. I'll go grab the swatches. Okay, so these are my brioche swatches that I used to learn brioche. I did knit one flat while I was learning, and there are plenty of mistakes in here. And then I knit a small section in the round. And I definitely would suggest practicing first before you try knitting an actual project, because I definitely had to learn through some of the mistakes. I have knit half fisherman's rib in the past, and I feel like that really helped me with fixing mistakes. A lot of people are afraid of brioche because they don't know how to fix the mistakes. But because I had knit half fisherman's rib, I kind of knew how to fix the mistakes just by messing with my mistakes on my inclination shawl that I knit, also by Andrea Mowry. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about one of my other whips that I was cursed from the beginning. And I love these colors together. I picked up this yarn, this skein of yarn from Old Orcut Yarnery in Orcut, California, which is like 40 minutes north of Santa Barbara, when I was visiting my brother last. And I picked up this Friederbrook skein of color changing yarn. And it's really, really beautiful color changing yarn. It's a little bit more subtle than Spin Cycle, in my opinion, but it has like a gradient for sure. And it's like green with a little bit of rainbow is what it looks like to me. Like, it's really, really gorgeous. The contrasting skein is Pushkin. I think it's Pushkin by Farmer's Daughter Fibers. And this was actually gifted to me by my friend. She wanted to do this challenge, and like she kind of got me inspired to do it. And so I told her, okay, well, I have this yarn. I don't know what I'm going to pair it with. I'm going to go try to find something. And she's like, okay, well, I just had this Farmer Daughter Fibers order and I bought yarn for myself. Do you want this one? And I was like, oh, wow, that does it for me. So she very kindly gifted this to me, and I put these 2 colors together, and they're really, really pretty. So I'm like happy that I'm like still on my blue craze, but at the same time I'm like incorporating some green in there. Okay, last project, right? Yeah, my 5th whip. This is the only whip that I have not had to rip back, which is great because it's a sock. This was also inspired by my friend who wanted to do this knit along for the Raccoon socks. These are by Andrea Rangel. They're called the Raccoon socks, and I cast this on May 28th with my friend. She bought all 3 kits of the colors and then like found 2 friends to like knit them with her. So we're all knitting the socks in like the 3 different colors, which is really, really cool and really fun. She gave me the neutral color with the browns because she knows that I love brown. And yeah, this is, if you've ever heard that self-striping yarn just like knits itself, I am here to tell you that that's true. It really does. So what has it been? A week? No, it's been like 4 days since I cast this on. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's been 5 days. But I just whizzed through this. She does write the pattern for a German short row heel. It may be a different name than that, but it's essentially the same thing. If you know, for my Valentine's Day vlog, I hate that heel. It brought me to tears at one point. I was having a bad day. I hate that heel so much. So I am just doing a forethought heel. This is my first time ever doing it, but I am using Summerlee's sock book to just following her instructions on how to do a forethought heel. So this is a colorwork sock, and the skein came with like, it's a 1 skein, everything you need in 1 skein, which at first when we were winding this up, I was so confused. I was like, why didn't she just give us a mini skein? And then it dawned on me and I got it. And you get 1 skein and you skein it up in 3 different balls. And then the middle is your contrasting color. But the end and the beginning of the ball are your socks. But it actually cuts it perfectly in half, that you have 1 sock, 2 sock in the stripes. One of them you have to pull from the center, one you pull from the out to get that same striping, and then your contrast color in the middle. So actually this is really genius, like 1 skein. It is kind of a little, not tricky, but you just kind of have to understand what you're doing when you're skeining it up. And I've never pulled from the center, so we'll see how that goes. I have a little bit of ways to go before I even start the colorwork sock of the Raccoon. These are the longest socks I've ever knit too, but I have missed knitting socks. My last pair of socks I finished in, what was that? So my March socks I finished April 9th, and then I cast these on, March 28th. So I'm being super dramatic, but it was almost 2 months, and I was really had like a hole in my knitting not having socks. I love knitting socks. I do kind of have to stop myself from knitting socks because they're so easy to forget that I'm knitting them. And then I'm like, oh, it's nighttime. It's my nighttime movie time knitting. I need to knit one of my projects, not my like go-to on-the-go project. But it's hard because I love knitting socks so much. That's kind of how I've been balancing things. I knit my socks and my hat when I'm on the go, and then my 3 big projects like when I'm at home. The rippled crop top was kind of my go-to project, like on the go, before I cast on the hat and the sock. So that's like the one that's kind of getting neglected at the moment. I try to make it a point to work on each of my projects, not every day, but like I'll rotate on the day. And I like to put a stitch marker. So like last night I sat down and I wanted to do some progress on my, 2 nights ago, I wanted to do some progress on my rippled crop top. Nope. On my rib lace raglan, I put a little stitch marker, and then I just, my goal was 10 rows. And then I don't know how many I ended up doing, but that was just my evening knitting. And I was able to pull off that much progress. I did the same exact thing for my Ava cardigan, where I put a little stitch marker last night and we watched a movie and I just kind of tracked my progress. So I felt like motivated to get that done. And now my next like rotation, I feel like I need to do a little bit of progress on my rippled crop top. As you can see, I am super into summer knitting and I have nothing but more acquisitions for summer. So let's talk about my acquisitions. My first plan is to knit the Dappled lace, is it Raglan or Cardigan? Or no, the Dappled lace Raglan by James & Watts. And I have more Santalina because I like this yarn so much. I bought this in the red smoke color, and I bought 3 balls of this time so I would have enough. And I started the swatch to make the Dappled lace like, no joke, probably 2 weeks ago. I just haven't finished it. The truth is I have plenty of projects. I don't need to cast this on. I don't need to swatch right now, but I started it. At one point I was like, I want to knit a little bit of lace, started the swatch, and then just never finished it. But that's on the agenda for one of my next cast-ons. Next on my plan is the 1993 tee by Jessie May. And I have the yarn that I ordered online for that, and that is by Concept by Katia, which I will never order online again because the colors were definitely different than I was expecting. Here are the colors. A lot more primary than I was thinking. The red color is legit orange online. Like this was supposed to be orange, and it is like super cool tone red. So this was my plan to knit the 1933 tee. I was trying to buy like a more budget-friendly version of the cotton lino yarn that she knit the sample in. During the LA yarn crawl, I stopped by Boku Yarns, and they carried this yarn in some of the same colors and some different colors. So I picked up this brown color from them so that I have the option now to drop that really red color. Not that I don't think that would be cool, but I think that maybe this color palette would be something that I would wear more, to do that brown in there instead of that red. This is a cotton cashmere blend. It's like 90% cotton and 10% cashmere. I'm really, really curious about how the knitting experience will go with this and what colors I end up using and not using. These are 50-gram skeins of yarn, so it's like less quantity. Another problem with the, not a problem, but another thing that made my decision when buying the yarn instead of buying the cotton lino, even though I loved the colors, I would have loved to just buy the original yarn combination, but you had to buy this pricey yarn and they were 100-gram skeins, so you had like all this yarn when you're going to stripe and use like not that much yarn because it's like a tiny little tee. That will be casting on relatively shortly, I think as soon as I get one of these other projects done. Okay, next plan that I have, I was gifted this Woolly Thistle yarn by Woolly Thistle. This is Rambler, yarn in the fingering weight and part of their affiliate program. So yeah, I'm an affiliate. I have an affiliate link. I've never actually put any affiliate links, I don't think, in my YouTube descriptions. Like, I've made a lot of them and like thought about doing it, but I've never put them in my descriptions because they weren't relevant. But because I'm part of the affiliate program, they sent me some Rambler yarn to try out, and you get to pick 2 different colors. So I ended up with this fingering yarn in green and orange, and I was kind of like, I don't know what to do with this. But I was looking at patterns that I could do, like some type of shawl or something, and Mr. Cheek saw them and he said, I really like these colors and I like these colors together. So now I'm like trying to think of something I can make for a man out of 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn. And I was a little puzzled. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to make him, because it's not like I'm going to make him a shawl. And this is not enough yarn to make him a colorwork sweater. I could buy more of it, which I did think about doing. But Andrea Mowry has a Harlow hat fingering. I would like to cast on another brioche project. So I think what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to knit the Harlow hat fingering for Mr. Cheek in these 2 colors. I will put the link in the description if you're interested in trying out this yarn. It is an affiliate link, but it'll be there for you if you want to click on it. This is 100% wool yarn. It is a Dorset Corriedale Gray Romney. It is fingering weight. It's got 28 to 32 stitches per 4-inch gauge. It is not scratchy, but it is like I want to say like a toothier yarn. Like it definitely feels like wool, but it's not scratchy to me. But I also can wear Lion Brand's Fisherman wool straight out of my skin and it doesn't bother me. So if you are sensitive to wool, it does feel like wool. But I really love these colors and it's spun really pretty, and I'm excited to try knitting that Harlow hat for Mr. Cheek. I have another hat in mind with a Brooklyn Tweed tones, and this is their red color. Overtone in Acer. So overtone means it's like the darker version of this red. And this is Brooklyn Tweed, which sadly is no longer. And my friend actually ordered this for me because she ordered Brooklyn Tweed yarn for herself when it was no longer. She wanted to make sure she got some, and she wanted me to try some. So she ordered me a couple of skeins of this red, and she also knew that I was super into red, but like scared to knit with this bright red color. But I happen to think that this red doesn't, it's not too bright. I don't know. And I'm going to knit a beanie, but I do not know what beanie, just some beanie that I can get away with a worsted weight yarn. But I absolutely love this. I actually bought more of this yarn on the LA Yarn Crawl for another beanie in a different color. That's how much I love this yarn. And I love this red. So I'm really, really excited about, it's just so pretty. Really excited about this beanie in the future. My last acquisition, I feel like really grateful right now because I just realized that a lot of these were gifted to me, and it feels like really nice when you're gifted something that you love, which is yarn. So this is actually from my friend Ashley from Ashley's Knitting Corner, and she's a friend that I made here on YouTube, and she has her own YouTube channel. You should definitely check it out. She makes like knitting and spinning vlogs, and she asked me if I had any use for a sweater's quantity of Sandnes Garn Pure Gint in cream. And if you know me, I love cream and I love Tweedy cream. And so I said, yeah, I would love to try this yarn. So she was really kind to send me a sweater's quantity of Sandnes Garn Pure Gint. I think she was moving, so she was kind of trying to downsize. 13 balls of 50 gram skeins of Pure Gint. I think this is 50 grams. Yeah, it's 50 grams. So I got this in the mail and I was looking at it and I was like, okay, this is cream. And I literally knit myself 2 cream sweaters, one this year and one last year. And I absolutely love this, but I cannot knit myself another cream sweater. And so I was like looking at it, staring at it for a couple days, trying to figure out what I was going to do with it. And then I decided that I would knit Mr. Cheek, his first ever knit sweater from me. So this will be Mr. Cheek's first sweater. Okay, lastly for acquisitions, I did get 2 books. I purchased this book, Crochet Crush, after watching one of Breathing Yarn's videos. I can't remember the name of the video, but she was just like looking at inspiration of things that she wanted to make. And she talked about this designer and making a bag from her. And I had never heard of her. And I was like floored by some of the designs that she had for crochet bags. And I was like, I need motivation to crochet because I literally forget to crochet. I always forget about it because I'm knitting so much and I like have all these ideas and things that I want to crochet. I think I also just don't have a lot of like crochet yarn in my stash, but I thought if I bought this book and like looked through it that I would be inspired to crochet. So you know what? I'm actually going to leave this out on my coffee table so that I can look through it here and there and see if I find any inspiration. The designer is Mola Mills, and I am super excited to maybe crochet something from this book. I also got the Sock Knitting Club. This was also a gift from a friend, and I am a huge sock knitter, so I'm really excited, I think in the fall, to pick some like solid neutral color socks. This is a Japanese sock knitting book, and this is just like all new to me, patterns and designs, and I am excited to like widen my perspective and try out this really unique sock pattern book. Okay, that is all my acquisitions. It's not on my plans though. So like I said, if you would like to see some more acquisitions and plans, I do have my LA yarn crawl where I go over the haul and some of the plans that I have for knitting yarn that I have in there. Like I bought yarn for specific projects. I have plenty to knit through the summer. I feel like I need to stop buying and planning for summer knitting because I know at some point I'll just switch just like that and I'll be ready for fall knitting. So we cannot do that. We have to stay clear and just stop. I feel like I purchased a lot of summer yarns because I didn't have any in my stash, and now I feel like I'm at a point that I can knit plenty. And if I do finish it, then I can get more, but no more planning or buying summer yarn for me at the moment. I need to not do that anymore. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you would like to see more videos by me, Natalie, the girl who knits online. And I will leave more videos in the description if you want to keep watching.